Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a lesson based on algebraic expressions. I'm going to be covering the different types of expressions, monomials, binomials, etc. So we're going to start with, firstly, what is an algebraic expression? Now, as discussed in my previous lesson, it is a combination of your variables and constants of one or more terms. So we're going to be looking at, let's start with monomial. Okay, so I'm just going to write that out. So your monomial means one term. So basically here, you're going to have one term. I'm going to give you a few examples. So the first example could be 2a. That's one term. So that would be example 1. If we look at example 2, we could have maybe b over 3, okay, which is the same as 1 over 3b, okay, a third b. You could also have something like this. You could have a plus b, and if you put brackets around it, it becomes one term. So our first explanation here of your monomial means one term. Now we're going to go and look at the next one. The next one is your binomials. Okay, so your binomial would have two terms. Oops, let me just correct that. Binomial, two terms. Okay, so let's have a look at a few examples of your binomials. Okay. And we're going to write down just a few, just for your understanding. Okay, so here we've got two terms. Right, let's have a look. So your examples here could be a plus b. You could also have 2a minus 10. So what do we notice when we look at our binomials, at the binomial in particular? You will see that it is separated by your plus and minus signs. So here this divides it into two terms. The next one as well divides it into two terms. And if you go back and you look at the first one, you would notice that it is one term. It is one term. There is no plus or minus in between. Right, so if we're going on and we're going to look at the next one, we can work it out. It is going to be your trinomial. Okay, so we're going to look at our trinomials. And if we're looking at that now, tri standing for 3, like think of triangle, 3 sides. So your 3 terms here basically. So here we're going to look at 3 terms. Now, it's going to be separated by plus and minus signs. So if you have, for example, 2x squared minus 5x plus 10, that would be separating your terms here. You can see by the minus and plus, separating it into 3 terms. So when you see this, you would know that it is your 3 terms. Then you would have heard the expression polynomials, your polynomials, anything more than 3 terms, right? And then I want to cover in this section as well, I want to talk about what is a variable. So you'd go and you'd have a look at what is a variable. Now, if we're looking at our variables, we would look at our letters in the expression. So we would look at letters like maybe x, y, the coefficient of, and I will just write out an example. For example, like if I had 2x squared minus 5x, and I said to you, what is the coefficient of x squared? So if I specifically looking at x squared, the coefficient would be the number that comes in front of x squared. So in this case, the coefficient of x squared would be 2. So I'll write this out so that you can just see. So 2 is the coefficient of x squared. Okay. Right, so it's the coefficient of x squared. Then if you look at the next one and I said to you, what is the coefficient of x? So we would say negative 5 is the coefficient of x, okay? Right. So you could get questions like this in a test, and I'm going to show you a few examples. Oh, and one more thing that you also need to know is constant. So if you're looking at a constant, and I asked you, what is the constant term? I said to you, okay, what is the constant term? It'd be the term that stood on its own without any letter next to it. So basically a number. So if I gave you an expression like maybe 5x squared minus 2x plus 7, and I said to you, what is the constant term here? And you would write out 7. If it was 5x squared minus 2x minus 7, and I said to you, what is the constant term? The constant term would be negative 7. Okay, so you would take the sign that comes in front of the number. Okay, let's move on, and I'm going to now go through some examples that you could possibly get in a test. So it says, answer the following questions using the algebraic expression. How many terms are there in the expression? So the first thing you would do is you could take a highlighter, or you could just use a different color pen, and you would separate them by the signs, the plus and minus signs, as I am doing here. And if you did that, you would find that there are 4 terms here. So your answer, how many terms are there in the expression? There would be 4 terms. Okay. Write down the constant term. So the constant is the number that stands on its own, and in this case it would be negative 1. If you write 1, your answer would be wrong. You must make sure that you write negative because you're taking the sign that comes in front of that number. What is the coefficient of x squared? So you would look, where is x squared? This is x squared here. The number that comes in front of x squared is 5. It's positive, so you would write 5. And then find the value of 2x squared. So here we're going back to my previous video, and you would basically look at substitution here. So you would write 2. Now I'll just show you. So you've got 2, and in the place of x squared, now it's negative 2. So it's negative 2 cubed plus 5 times negative 2 squared plus, and now you've got your x here, so that's negative 2 minus 1. Okay, so 2 times negative 2 cubed, so a negative times a negative times a negative would give me a negative, and 2 times 2 times 2 would give me 8. So it's basically negative 8. Plus 5, and we're working out our brackets first. Negative 2 times negative 2 would give me positive 4. And then a positive times a negative would give me negative 2 minus 1. Okay? And now we simplify further. A positive times a negative would give me a negative. 2 times 8 is 16. Plus 5 times 4 is 20. And minus 2 minus 1 will give me minus 3. Okay, then we add them together. We solve them, and negative 16 plus 20 is 4. And 4 minus 3 would give me 1. Okay, so then we've worked that one out. Okay, now I've got one more. Now if you look at the next one, you could pause the video, try it yourself, and then work it out. So let's go and have a look at what we would do here. Okay, so I'm assuming you've attempted this, so let's carry on. How many terms are there in the expression? So again, we're going to separate them using your plus and minus signs, and you'll see that there are 3 terms here. You go and look at the next one. The next one is, what is the coefficient of x? It's not saying x squared, it's saying x. So if you look in front of x here, you have your negative 5. So you'd write negative 5. And then calculate the value of the expression when x is equal to 2. So I will do it on the side here. So you're going to have 2. Now you have x squared, but x is 2. So it's 2 squared minus 5 times 2 plus 4. Okay, so let's work that out. So basically 2 squared is 4, so 2 times 4. And then a negative times a positive, 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4. Okay, and here you're going to have 8 minus 10 plus 4, and then 8 minus 10 is negative 2, and negative 2 plus 4 would give me 2. So then we've worked out the expression, the value of the expression. So the value of the expression is 2. Now this is something a little bit more different, but it's basically linked up to, function machines if you have done those before. So basically putting your input and finding out what your output is. So you could have done something similar to this. So what it means is if I have 3x plus 1, it basically means 3 times the value. What is the value of x plus 1? So you're going to replace x with the number that is given to you. So this is your input here. That's your input. So if I want to find the value of a, I'm going to look, okay, a means that I'm going to input 2 to get the output. So this is your output that you're looking for. So your output is going to be a. So if I substitute in 2, what is my output? So let's have a look. 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 plus 1 is 7. Now remember that 3x means 3 times x, so therefore 3 times 2. Okay, so my output here, we're going to have a is equal to 7. Now if you go and you look at b, it simply means that, and I will write it in a different color. Let me just draw a line so that I don't, we look at the next one. So the next one here is I'm looking for b. So if I'm looking for b, I'm basically going to say 3 times what? Because it's 3 times x plus 1 is equal to 31. So they're giving you the value. The value is 31. Now remember that if you go in reverse, what is your inverse of plus 1? Your inverse of plus 1 is going to be minus 1. Okay? And your inverse of times 3 would be, you'd basically be dividing here by 3. So let's have a look. We're going to go 31 minus 1, which would give me 30. And then you're going to go 30 divided by 3, and that would give me 10. Now we test our answer to see if it's correct. So basically what I'm saying to you here is that b is equal to 10. But we need to check to see if that's correct. So we go back to our sum. We're going to go 3 times 10 is 30, and 30 plus 1 would give me 31. So that's perfect. It works out perfectly. Then let's go and have a look at the next one. We want to find the value of c. So that means we are looking for the output. So if I have a look, let's just draw a line here. And let's look at the next one. So the next one is basically 3 times what? Plus 1 would give me 30, would give me not 31 because we don't know what the output is here. Basically, we're looking for the output, which is C. Okay, so we're going to go 3 times, and they give us 20. So we're going to replace that block with 20. 3 times 20 is 60, and 60 plus 1 is 61. So therefore, C is equal to 61. Okay, I hope this makes sense to you. Please follow and subscribe and follow on to my next lesson.